Hello, Eagle fans. This is Calvin Barnes from the NCCU Sports Network. Welcome back to Where Are They Now, where we interview former student athletes to see how they're doing post-NCCU. Joining me today from the women's and softball program is no other than Michelle Harris. Michelle finished her basketball career here with 1,448 points, currently ranking her fourth all-time in school history. She also excelled on the diamond, earning the 1998 CIAA Softball Player of the Year, as well as winning the school's first CIAA championship that same year. In 1999, she was voted to the CIAA 25th Anniversary Women's Basketball Team, as well as the CIAA Hall of Fame. That is not the only Hall of Fame that she's been inducted to, as she's a part of NCCU's 2004's Hall of Fame class. These are only a few of her countless accomplishments she's achieved here at NCCU. Michelle, thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
No doubt, no doubt. So first things first, just tell just the people a little bit about yourself.
My name is Michelle Harris. When I was at Central, I was Michelle Harrison. I was born and raised in Salem, Virginia. I attended Salem High School in Salem, Virginia, where I also played basketball, softball, volleyball, and I ran track. When I graduated from high school, I decided to pursue my education and sports career at North Carolina Central University. Sports have always been my passion.
Let's go back and just look at what you've been up to since graduating from NCCU.
All right, since graduating from NCCU, when I got my first degree, I decided to go back to North Carolina Central to pursue a second degree, which was in education. And then I went on to pursue a master's degree in human development and family studies, which I also received from North Carolina Central University. During this time, I was a full-time teacher at Eastway Elementary School in Durham, North Carolina. In 2002, my life changed for the better. My nephew was born. He's now 18, headed to ODU, but my nephew was born. And when I finished grad school, I decided to move back to Virginia in 2002 to be closer to family, and because I wanted to get my hands on that little baby too. So I decided to move back home. And I was in Virginia until 2005, but before leaving Virginia, I joined a women's full contact football team called the Roanoke Revenge. I was a safety and a running back for the football team. It was like a dream come true, something I've always wanted to do. It was tough. Along with it came injuries, lots of bumps and bruises, but it was a dream come true. We played teams, we got to travel. We played the DC Divas. We went to, we played Erie Illusion, Baltimore Burn. So we got to travel and just meet new people, and it was just a really, really fun experience. In 2004, I married Clarence Harris. We had our first child in 2005, our son Gavin. And then in 2008, we added a second child to our family. We have a daughter named Anaya. We moved to High Point, North Carolina, and now I am teaching here in High Point, and I am the head girls basketball and softball coach at Southwest Middle School.
Man, you had a lot of great stuff, a lot of great things. Again, congratulations on just everything, with all the kids and everything with the family. What are some of the sports that you were playing while growing up outside of, softball and basketball and football?
So basically growing up, I just did softball, basketball, volleyball, and track. But I forgot to add, when I was in Virginia, I also coached. I was able to go back and coach at my middle school and my high school. I forgot to add that part. But I was an assistant middle school coach and an assistant varsity coach. I was an assistant middle school coach at Andrew Lewis Middle School. And then when I went up to Salem High School, I was able to be the assistant varsity JV basketball coach,
okay.
Softball coach. I'm sorry, the softball coach.
Playing these sports, when was it growing up that you realized you was going to focus your attention on just basketball and softball?
I knew at a young age that those two were my favorite. People often ask, well, which one's your favorite sport? And that was a very difficult question for me. And my answer would be whichever sport was in season. I was also good in track, not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but that's also a sport that I could have really excelled in. The problem with that, softball and track fell during the same season growing up. So I had to pick and choose. And I always chose softball over track. If it was something where I could have done like club track and then maybe did one in school, like my kids actually have that option. I didn't really have that option that I know of growing up. And those are the ones, but basketball and softball were probably my favorite growing up.
What would you do in softball that can help you complement you in basketball, and vice versa with basketball and softball?
Just in sports in general, from one sport to the next, you have to carry over discipline. And I mean, before you even get to talking about the fundamentals of each sport, there are so many other characteristics that you have to have to excel in any of those sports, especially at the college level. You cannot be a know-it-all. You cannot be a type of a kid who's not coachable. You cannot be the type of kid who cannot accept constructive criticism. When you get to the college level, sometimes you're going to hear things from your coaches that you feel like is a little harsh or mean, but you're at the college level, so you're going to have to learn to accept it and just suck it up and roll with it, try to learn from it. Going from basketball season to softball season, I was always in top-notch shape. Basketball season was like a track season. I remember calling home telling my mom, I thought I went to college on a basketball scholarship, not a track scholarship, because we would be on the track sometimes at 5 o'clock in the morning, and it was a full-blown track workout, no basketball involved. But I was always ready come softball season. Now, the beginning of basketball season, it was rough. We would have summer workouts. We would play, we could get together and play pickup games in the summer. And I remember a lot of us running outside about ready to vomit because it was just hard getting back in the swing of things. But by the time softball rolled around, I only got maybe less than a week break. So I was still running off of the basketball energy, which helped. Being in shape, I was still able sometimes to hit balls in the outfield and still use my speed on a bunt to beat it out to first, to steal from first to second to third, because I always got the steal signal. So I knew if I got on, I had to be ready to roll. So just being in shape, just being able to take constructive criticism, being able to stay focused from one sport to the next. It didn't matter which sport I was playing or which coach, because I had different coaches for each sport. We had the same common goal. The coaches had the same common goal, that you had to live up to from sport to sport.
Amazing. And just from hearing you, I can tell your players are in great hands, because I feel like I'm ready to run out there on the field and do a little something after hearing that. But, talking about, coaching and everything, let's kind of talk quickly about that. Do you find yourself repeating some of the same stuff you're saying to your players that your coaches might have told you back at Central?
Absolutely. And even as a parent of athletes, I've told myself, we're cheering for them and we're telling them, go hard, do this, do that. And I remember times as an athlete where you're just gassed. It's 90-degree weather, and of course you want to give it your all, but sometimes your all just isn't there anymore after being out in the heat for 4 and 5 hours. And I always tried to give it my all, and I was always a very aggressive type player. But there are mistakes that I see my players make that I also made. So I want to correct that with them now, because I'm a middle school coach. So maybe if they do make it to the college level, then that's one less thing that they have to worry about. But being an athlete, yeah, there are mistakes across the board, different ages that I did, that I see my players doing, vice versa. They did things that I did that was incorrect. But all we can do is learn from it. We're all human.
From softball to basketball, is it the same way with coaching and teaching? You kind of basically take the same tools that you got from either or and translate it to the kids?
Yes, absolutely. So one of my strengths as a teacher is classroom management. A lot of times we have anywhere from 25 to 30 plus kids in the classroom, and you have one teacher. Now, I teach 6th grade students, so like little young adults, So, we have different personalities, different attitudes, different things that we're faced with on a daily. So in order to teach my students, there has to be some type of discipline and structure in my classroom. Well, in order for us to be successful on the softball field or the basketball court, there has to be that same type of discipline and structure, or we're just not going to get anything accomplished. I feel like if I'm going to take the time after school, away from my family, away from my home, I want to be successful. I don't want to coach just to have the status of coaching. I want to coach because I want to help build the program and help mold the young girls that I'm coaching into, magnificent young women when they get older. So it's not just teaching them how to post up. It's not just teaching them how to box out. It's teaching them how to be leaders. It's teaching them how to work hard. It's teaching them discipline. It's motivating them to let them know that they can do whatever they put their mind to. So it's not just so much the coaching aspect, but it's also just the teaching aspect and building them up to be, wonderful young women in life as well.
What would you say is your favorite moment working at your job currently right now?
When a kid gets something, like an awe moment, when they get something that they've been struggling at for so long, and then finally it clicks, and just the smile on their faces when they realize, you were right, I can do this. It might take a lot of extra practice. It might take time. It might take this student a day to get it. It might take me a week, but I still can get it eventually if I just keep trying and keep pushing and keep believing in myself. And I feel that way in the classroom as well as on the court. I mean, I've coached girls who were, just very average, if even that, players one year, and then they'll come back the next year and it's like, who is this kid? I mean, they put in that much work to be better. So it's moments like that when they start to see that, I can do this, but it might take me a little bit longer than the next person, but I'm willing to do it.
What would you say some of your favorite moments and / highlights, in your playing days at NCCU?
So when I scored my 1,000th point, that was definitely one of my highlights. I remember I twisted my ankle on that 1,000th point. So it was exciting, but I remember being in pain at the same time. And softball, winning the CIAA championship was definitely, a goal that we all wanted. And I just remember that day like it was yesterday. It was so much fun. We had so much fun on that team. So those were some of probably my biggest highlights. And then when I found out they wanted to induct me in the Hall of Fame, that was definitely something that made me very, very proud. When I was in college, I also got selected as one of the top players in the 90s to speak at, it was like the CIAA opening tournament ceremony. So I remember that I was able to, I got chosen to speak at that banquet in front of all of the teams, all of the coaches. Like I remember BET was there, just all of the CIAA teams. I mean, it was just really, really a neat experience. And it was such an honor that I was selected to speak in front of such a wonderful group of people.
Of those moments, from the Hall of Fame, then going to winning the CIAA softball championship to your 1,000th career point, was your emotion building up to that moment? Because obviously you knew you was going to get the 1,000th point. You're going to the championship game. You hear about the Hall of Fame induction. Was it the same type of feeling? Like, was it anxious? Was a little nervousness in each of those moments, or was each moment just a different feeling in general?
I think each moment was different. When I got my 1,000th point, I think I needed 12 points that game to reach it. And honestly, I wasn't really nervous. I felt like I would reach that goal before the end of the season, whether it was that game or not. If I'm not mistaken, and I could be totally wrong, because this was long ago, it may have been the last home game, which made it so special for me to get it at that point. But I was always very humble. And to be honest with you, a lot of the honors that I have received, I've even been surprised that someone looks at me in that way, because I was probably, my own worst critic, to be honest with you, as far as how I felt about myself as a player. I knew I worked hard, but the compliments and, some of the awards and things that I got, it just made me proud to see that other people saw all of my hard work. When I was in Central, I was on a poster. I remember we had a photo shoot and I was on a poster, and the poster was splashed all over Durham. So I would go to gas stations and I would see my face all over a poster. I would go to stores and I would see my face all over this poster. And strangers would come up to me in the mall and they would say, "That's the girl on the poster." So it was almost like, and I'm nowhere near famous, but it was almost kind of weird that so many strangers knew me everywhere I went. But at the same time, it made me feel proud too that I was chosen to be on the poster. It just made me feel like my hard work was noticed.
That championship game, can you talk to us what your mindset was, what your feeling was going into, that day?
So when I played softball, I remember when I was younger, when I would get a good hit, I would always tell my mom, I would be like, "Mom, that one good hit, I would just have this feeling when I got up to the plate. It was like just this feeling of I want it, I'm gonna get it." And every time I just had that certain feeling, I would just get up there and crack the ball. That whole tournament, I think we had to beat the team. We had to beat them twice. And that whole tournament, that whole day, I was just feeling it. I was pretty hot at the plate that day. And, the whole team, we brought our A games. We were ready to play. So the game wasn't even to the point to where we had to get super, super nervous because we were playing that well and the score wasn't even like super close. Like when I said we came to play, we came to play. I even remember with warm-ups, we were just pumped and ready to go. So I don't know. From the time we stepped on that field, we claimed that championship.
That's the mindset that you got to have if you want to win that championship. You coming in there to business, coming there to take that championship. Coming there, run the show. I love that.
Exactly.
I love that.
And so, I remember one of my teammates, Bucci, we called her Bucci, and she always stayed hype. It didn't matter if it was a championship game or just a regular home game. She was always hype and ready to roll. And I even remember her energy before this game, like it was yesterday. And our teammates, we played together. We would get on each other when need to in a positive way. We would pick each other up. But like I said, from the time we stepped on that field, we claimed that championship. It was ours, and we went out there and we did it.
So you talk about that discipline, like you said, you had a curfew. You had to make sure that you had to eat breakfast before, you had a 5 a.m. practice, probably going to run. Then those are, and I was going to ask you this too, are those like some of the challenges of not only being a student athlete, but being a multi-sport student athlete?
Yeah, those are some of the challenges. When you're in college, all you want to do is sleep. All you want to do is sleep. And every chance I could get to sneak in a nap, I would sneak in that nap. But when you play two sports, or even when you play one sport and you're taking a full course load, it's hard. Sometimes it's really hard to sneak in a nap and to do those extra things, especially if you're a student athlete who's also involved in other things on campus. You're busy all the time. You're just busy.
Right.
But
right.
I thought it was well worth it. I think it's helped me, later in life. So I have no complaints about it, and I'm glad that I stuck it out. There were times I wanted to call home crying to my mom. What am I doing? This is tough. But I sucked it up, I stuck it out, and I'm glad I made that decision.
That's great. And like you said, all your accomplishments, all that work that you put in, it definitely wasn't going unnoticed. You see it, everybody acknowledges it. And, talking about you being an alum, what does that mean to you, going around and saying that you're an alum of NCCU?
It means a lot. Anyone who knows me will tell you that I absolutely love North Carolina Central University, and I only have good things to say about it. I do wish, however, that I could make it to every game. I wish that I could go to every softball game, every basketball game. And that's one of the things as an adult that has bothered me, that I don't get back and can't get back to as many of the sporting events as I would like. And a lot of that is because of my job, my kids, and me coaching. With me coaching 2 sports myself, and with my kids, they play 3 sports each. So a lot of times it's hard. A weekend game while I'm probably at a travel tournament with my kids. So I go when I can, but I really, really, truly wish that I could be one of these former student athletes for Central who could be in the stands at every single game. If I lived in Durham, I would probably try to way to make it happen. But, you know, I live about an hour away, and it's just not that easy. But I am a very, very proud Eagle. Let me just tell you that.
Eagle
Very, very proud.
pride.
So, and I live in High Point, so I'm married to Aggie. I'm in Aggie land. All my coworkers, I'm always running into Aggies more than Eagles. So I have to hear a lot of junk from a lot of people. But it's all fun and games. But if I had to turn back the hands of time, I would still be a North Carolina Central Eagle.
And that's what we love. That Eagle pride
Yes.
runs very deep. It runs very deep. So,
Yes.
you know, you talked about your kids playing 3 sports. Obviously, they've gotten that from you because you was just playing all the sports and everything. Talking about that, you know, just traveling them and seeing their growth and development. Trying to separate, you know, the mom from, you know, being the inner coach. Like, how difficult of a transition you try to do when you're watching them.
Well, all right. First, I have to give Dad, Clarence Harris, some props too. He was a linebacker for A&T.
Okay.
So he was also a college athlete. So both of, you know, they have 2 parents who played on the collegiate level. So I have about 3 phrases that I use in my house often. And they are trust the process, stay hungry but humble, and you're always going to see better when you leave your area. And the reason I say that is because my children run track. And my daughter, for example, she might be ranked top 10 in the state. But once we make it to the Junior Olympics and we see children from all over the world, well, that number really goes up because you're leaving your area and there's a whole lot of other talent outside of just the small little area that you play against on a weekend basis. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As a parent, I do coach my kids. My daughter attends the middle school where I teach. I've never coached my son, but I did coach my daughter like in Y League. I was her basketball coach as a 6th grader this year, and I would have been her softball coach as a 6th grader at the middle school, but due to the coronavirus, we didn't have the season. But when they're playing, like on their travel teams that I am not coaching, I give them to the coach. So I trust the coaches with them. Now, of course, I give them pointers, you know, in the car off to the side, but I am not one of those parents who's out there yelling and screaming at my kids just because they are making a mistake. I'm a very realistic parent. We keep it very real with our children in our house. We don't go around telling our kids, you are the best thing on your team and there's nobody out there better than you. Now, do we build them up and tell them that they have a lot of potential, but they need to keep working? Absolutely. Absolutely. They both have a lot of potential. But they both also have a long way to go. And they need to know that. They need to know that. They're 12 and 14, and we still have a lot of work to put in. I'm willing to help them in any way, shape, or form achieve their goals. But at the same time, trust the process. I always go back. Trust the process.
Because like I said, you had your decorated career here at NCCU 2004. You were honored to be, you know, with all your accomplishments to be part of the NCCU Hall of Fame. Again, talk about that because you touched on it earlier. What does that mean to you that you know that your accomplishments, your achievements are noticed and that you're in the Hall of Fame at NCCU?
It means a lot to me. I think back to when I was little and just some of the things I wanted to accomplish. And, you know, I'm not even sure I had Hall of Fame on the mind when I was younger. I know I wanted to go play at the college level. And like I said, it wasn't much after college for girls basketball when I was younger. So my goal was to, you know, at least make it to the college level. I had no idea that it would take off the way that it did. Again, because I looked at other players in college and I thought, oh my gosh, she's so good. She's so good. Not realizing that other people were looking at me saying the same thing. And I never really looked in the mirror and tooted my own horn. I guess that's where that humble part came in. But I would always look to others and critique their game and analyze what they were doing. And you know, it just never dawned on me that somebody else was staring back at me the way that I was admiring their game. And I think attitude plays a lot too. I think you could be a really, really good athlete, but your attitude sometimes will get you pushed to the side to where you're not noticed as much. And I think being a good teammate, being a coachable player, being respectful, even at the college level, I've always just been a respectful kid, period. So even when I came to the college level, carrying on that same respect that was instilled in me by my family when I was younger, it played an important role with your professors, with your coaches, respecting your teammates. And I'm not saying we always got along, because that's just the reality of it, is you're not going to always get along. But were we able to all, come together and play as a team? And yes, absolutely. But I do feel like, just all of that, carrying all of that over to college is what I think also helped to get me noticed, because a lot of times when you're respectful and when you're hardworking and when you show that you want to give it all for your school, in return, you're noticed. A lot of people notice what you're trying to bring to the program.
This coming year, NCCU is celebrating their 10th year anniversary of officially being a D1 program. Can you talk about the development that you've seen from NCCU and the department, from D2, from when you were playing, to what they're looking like now? What is some of the biggest thing that you've noticed?
It's just amazing how I've watched my school grow from when I was there to the way it is now. To be able to turn on my TV and cheer on my Eagles from the comfort of my couch is amazing. That's not something that my family was able to do, back in the day when I was playing. To see that our school's name is on that NCAA bracket, and that we have the opportunity to make it to the next round and to make it that far and play in the tournament. And, I give so many props and so much respect to Coach Lavelle Moten, who was also, before he even became the coach of Central, he was a good friend. Lavelle he was a player when I was a player. So, I knew him long before he even started. He was an amazing basketball player at Central. Now he's an amazing coach. And I'm honored that I even knew him before he even took the program, the men's program, and taken it to the level that he has taken it to. So just seeing us in a bigger role and a bigger environment, the changes made to the campus, the changes made to the gym, the uniforms, seeing replicas of our jerseys hanging up. It's a beautiful thing. And I love the growth that the school has made from then to now. It's a beautiful thing. It makes me proud. It makes me very proud.
Talk about that relationship with Coach Moten, the player, and then now you said seeing him as a great coach at NCCU.
So Lavelle is a great guy, and we've all grown up. We're all, grown, married with children. So it's so funny now seeing us in this role, because we were just little silly knuckleheads in college. Lavelle was a little jokester, always cracking jokes, but I had much respect for him because of what he did to help his team. I had so much respect for his game. And I would watch players on our men's basketball team, and I would try to get pointers. And some of them would give me pointers, but I would watch their game. I would actually watch, try to learn from things that guys on the men's team would do as well to try to help my game. Lavelle was a really good shooter. He was just an all-around good player. So to say that I didn't learn something throughout my career from him would be a lie. And another person I want to give a shout out to, and I don't even know if this person even remembers all that he did for me, is Rodney Rogers. And Rodney Rogers, and he may have only done it a few times, and honestly, I don't even know if he remembers. But there would be times that I would be in the gym and I would be just shooting by myself. And he would walk in the gym and he would give me pointers. And it might be for 10, 15 minutes. But he would give me pointers. And, he was in the, NBA at the time. And sometimes he would give me the smallest little pointer that would help my shot, that would help my dribbling, that would help a move, as I would steal the ball and try to go to the goal. But the fact that he would take his time to just stop and come up to me in the gym and talk to me and or shoot me or give me a little pointer, to this day, and like I said, he might not even remember any of this, but I remember. To this day, I remember. And there are a lot of people who I could give thanks to that helped me in my journey in college and becoming the athlete and getting all of the rewards and awards that I did get. There are a whole lot of people who I need to thank. So, thank you to anyone who played that role. It has not gone unnoticed, and I will forever be grateful for all the assistance that anybody gave me.
Talked about, your coaching and your teaching, you're telling these young kids, these middle schoolers and sixth graders and stuff. What would you tell a young student athlete at NCCU? If you had to tell them a few things, what would it be?
I always go back to staying humble, trusting that process, taking constructive criticism. Don't think that just because you're at the college level, you're a know-it-all at this point. You're not. There's always room for growth. So take the constructive criticism that you have been given and go with it. Learn from it. Get to know people. Whether it's people at your school, get to know people even off of your campus. Some of the people you're playing against. Learn from people. You can also learn from your opponents, not just your teammates. I mean, I used to analyze the girls I used to play against. I remember this one particular girl from Bowie State. I admired her game. She was amazing. And I would pay attention to her moves and the things that she would do. There was probably at least one player from every school we played against where I would try to take something back from a player, or I would analyze something that they were really good at and try to learn from it so that it will up my game as well. So I would tell them, keep working hard, set a goal and go forward. There are a whole lot more opportunities now for them than it was when I was playing. You can go play on the next level as a female or a male. Go ahead and follow. If that's something you want to do, work hard and go after it. And when times get hard, don't be so quick to quit, because whether you realize it or not, the student athlete part is the easy part. You haven't seen hard times until you leave college and really, really get out here in the real world. So when we're college athletes at the time, we think that that's just the hard part in life. No, you haven't even seen the hard part yet. So embrace every moment that you have, enjoy it, because when it's gone, you are going to miss it so bad. So enjoy every moment, soak up every moment, because one day the ball is going to stop bouncing.
That is very, very powerful. And like all student athletes, not even just the NCCU, all student athletes, you listen to this, hey, she's speaking the truth right now. I'm just saying she's preaching right now. She's been to where, you've been at it. So, again.
And coaching is fun, but it's not like playing. I mean, if I ever had to pick between coaching or playing, take me back to when I could play. So enjoy it.
So when you're coaching and everything, do you ever get that urge, like you see something, or maybe you're down in the game, you're like, oh, I wish I could just get out there real quick.
Oh, yes. There have been times where I've been like, ooh, when I was that age, I would have caught that ball. There definitely have been times where I wish that I was that little girl put in that situation. I used to stand out on the field and the coach would yell, "Who wants it?" And I would be like, I would always yell, "I want it, hit it to me." Because in my mind, that was going to be a guaranteed out. And of course, I made mistakes and I did not always make the out. But in my mind, I had the confidence that, if you hit it to me at shortstop or I played mainly short, center, and left in high school and college. But, and there were certain balls on shortstop, I would like, there was a certain place I wanted them to hit the ball because I love to turn a double play. So I would love to catch it, run tag second, and whip that ball. And I had a really strong arm. So I always wanted the ball hit to me at short because I was like, I'm going to get you, hit it to me. But, like we talked about earlier, some of the same mistakes I see now, even with, my little girl playing, I made some of those same mistakes growing up too. So we just have to learn from it.
You know, when you look back at your time at NCCU, I know earlier you said that you wanted to thank people. So I'm going to give you that time right now. You know, anybody, everybody, who would you like to thank for your time at NCCU?
I want to thank God first and foremost for, you know, always being there with me. Always, you know, giving me the strength that I needed, because there were a lot of bumpy roads. I lost my grandmother when I was 18. I was in college about to take an exam the day that I found out she had passed away. There were times after that where I wasn't so sure college is where I wanted to be. I wanted to be home in Virginia with my mom, to be honest with you. So that alone, the strength came from God, you know. And the next person I want to thank is my mom. And I could write a book about my mom, Margaret Harrison. I could write a book about her. My mom would get off of work and she would travel to a basketball and softball game, and it was a 3-hour drive. She would leave my game, travel back home, and have to turn around and go to work the next day. So she's not getting home until sometimes after midnight. She would do this sometimes up to 2 times a week. And you're thinking 3 hours is nothing. Yeah, it is. When you've been at work, and she worked in a school now, so she was working with children all day. To get off work and to make that drive and to be there to support me. She's always been my number one supporter. My family members, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, all of the support that I received growing up, I definitely want to thank all of them. I would not be where I am today if it was not for my mom. I mean, I grew up in a single parent home. This woman is simply amazing to this day. She always believed in me. She always trusted me. She always allowed me to make my own decisions. And she was there to support me whenever I needed that support. And to this day, I'm very thankful for her. Love her. She's my best friend. Once I got to Central, of course, I'm not going to name all of my professors, but I would like to thank all of them. All of my coaches. I'm not going to name all of the coaches, but anyone who coached me at any time at Central, I want to thank you, because you played a huge role in my life, in my career, and to my teammates, to my friends who picked me up when I was down, who supported me. I want to thank you too. And I just want to thank you all as one big group, because there are just so many people I would have to name. So just one big thank you to everyone. And you know who you are. You know we cross paths, or you know if you were part of the coaching staff at any time when I played basketball or softball at Central, whether you were doing an internship as a coach or whatever, and you helped impact me in any type of way. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. I really appreciate it.
So last question, if you had to say 3 words to describe your time here at NCCU, what would those 3 words be?
Challenging, amazing, and fun. I was definitely challenged. Just that whole HBCU experience was absolutely amazing to me. It was just an eye-opener, something I had never experienced. And I know I threw in a little word like adjective like fun, but I mean that pretty much sums it up. It was a really, really fun time, being able to be a student athlete on that campus. I had so many wonderful, fun experiences there. I mean, I could go on for days naming great adjectives about NCCU, but those 3 would probably be my top 3. And the one that I appreciate the most is the fact that it was challenging.
Yes, no doubt. Well, Michelle, thank you again for your time. Thank you for this opportunity interview and having the people catch up and seeing what you're doing up to now. And we look forward to hearing more great things about you, and everything else that you're doing is perfect. That'll be it for this segment of Where Are They Now, where we take a look at former student athletes and interview them and see what they're doing post NCCU. My name is Calvin Barnes. This has been the NCCU Sports Network. Again, Equal Pride Amplified. We'll catch you next time, y'all.